Oh, hello, and welcome to Al Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. Tonight we have, for the last time, for now, a Joey Fucknuts story, and this is Joey Makes a New Friend. So, apparently somebody decided to get rid of the his last name in the title.
I mean, that's not his name anymore.
That's true. Yeah, he does have several different titles in the story. He does swap out of his last name. So Joey Fucknuts, as we have been doing for the last few weeks now, is by CadaverCommander. You can check it out at scp.wiki. But we're gonna dive into the rundown of this story, and we'll just go from there, as we always do. So Joey Fucknuts is thankfully woken up from his exhausted state on the ground where he fell in the previous story, and where we all bit our nails. It's like, oh my god, is Joey dead? He's woken up by the prodding of a similarly desiccated but living entity. This new entity is named Gary, or Gunmetal Gary, according to his own SCP entry 3884.
Does he call himself Gary in this?
Yeah, he says.
Does he say, "Hi, my name is Gary"?
Yeah, he says his name is Gary.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that. I remember his name being Gary. I just don't remember that exchange happening. Regardless,
yeah, it's literally where we get the link to his SCP too. It's okay. My name is Gary. Yeah, that's fine. And so yeah, Joey and Gary begin talking, and Gary quickly realizes that Joey is inadvertently on the run from the Foundation, and that they are probably already en route to capture him. So, not wanting to be taken in himself, Gary attempts to persuade Joey to flee the area, abandoning the airplane, which we now learn is named Mirrorbird. Joey refuses, however, to leave without the plane because he built it. It's his, but it needs fuel to lift off again. Fortunately, as we and Gary learn about Joey and perhaps the other citizens of Vulture Gulch, is that their blood is pure petro. And he begins siphoning gas from his own veins into the tank. Against Gary's insistence, Joey still feels that he can talk to the Foundation folks about his travel plans and make them see reason. And he's about to get that opportunity, because we end this story with the two zombies in their plane, still grounded, as the SCP Foundation members arrive on the scene. So
it's like the shortest rundown for this entire.
Yeah, it was a pretty succinct rundown. There's a lot of talking and stuff like that. So I didn't want to ruin that for the audience. So I just kind of went through a quick synopsis of what happened.
Fair.
So yeah, as always, that's. No, wait, why is that my catchphrase today?
As always, we very much appreciate that.
Yeah. No. So on to everyone tolerates the Grammar Inquisitions at this point. So I've got a couple here. We're just going to dive into this. So Joey turns around, looks at his plane, looks back at the guy, and beams with pride. Yep, I made it all by myself. So this one is just, this is the one sentence I believe in the story where it's present tense, and I feel like it should just be past tense, like the rest of this. That's it. That's really all I got for that one. And then my next one here, or actually my last one, my actual last Grammar Inquisition. Gary screamed. He took some deep breaths and said to himself, and then it keeps going. But the beginning of that sentence is so Gary screamed, then he took some deep breaths. Not he took some. Also, I'm gonna take a note from one of your guys' books. Mikey and Gamer is who I'm talking about. not the audience.
People you're directly talking to that can respond to you. Yes.
Yeah. Oh god, this is one of those days. So here's how I would completely like do the story. So like, or this sentence. So Gary screamed, comma, not period. Then he took some deep breaths, comma, and said to himself, comma. Just like.
But he only said comma. That's the only word he said.
No, like
I know. I'm
I had a rough morning, guys. All right, I just got up.
It's fine. I'm just asking you a little too hard. I apologize.
Yeah, it's but yeah, just maybe make that like turn that short sentence at the very beginning with Gary screamed into a part of the bigger sentence by changing into a. And that's my grammar inquisition. So, Mikey, here's the spotlight. Just push it away from me.
All right. Well, I'm looking at one literally just below the one that you just said.
Of course.
Where it has the exact same issue, where it's like, oh, but there was one thing. It's like, why is oh its own sentence?
It's a weird sentence.
Is it in a dialogue, or is it actually like part of the story?
It's part of the story.
Okay.
It's not dialogue at all.
Okay. Well, weird.
Although
yeah, I would have. Yeah.
It could be considered Joey's inner monologue, because we do get a lot of that mixed throughout the story.
Yeah.
And then it's like kind of dialogue. Yeah, that's a weird line of dialogue.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's definitely just like you said.
Yeah. All right. And then I have a conjunction junction.
All right. And next stop, conjunction junction. Doot, doot.
It performed as Joey thought it would, and immediately blinded him. It probably did, but there was one thing. It was a wide metal space that took up most of the belly of the bomber. It seemed very strange. But why? But Joey wasn't sure that had even really been an anyone to begin with, and he had tried to reason with it. It was a sneaky sound. It sounded kind of like a bee, but if a bee were very, very big and very upset about something. Finn.
Wow. I'm trying to I was trying to follow along with. Yeah.
It turns out he's trying to reason with a sound that's happening in the plane.
Yeah. Jesus. Not very.
So it must be alive.
Yeah, it's making noise. It's trying to talk to me.
What are you doing here?
Yeah. Oh man, the mirror bird's trying to talk to me. All right, and that's your grammar revision.
Yep.
All right, Gamer, do you have anything?
Yeah, I got a couple.
Cool.
Or a few, because there's three. That's how words work. Okay, so first one is pretty early on when Gary says, "Hey, ugly." He's referring to Joey being quote unquote dead on the ground. Like grammar related things to this is basically like him calling him ugly. You wouldn't know he's ugly because Joey is currently face down in the ground.
I mean,
he does not know how ugly he is. Joey could turn over and he could be freaking handsome Squidward for all we
know. I mean, that's also just kind of a saying, just that some douchebags say sometimes.
Is it?
Yeah,
you hear that often?
I think so.
Okay.
I think I've heard that a couple of times in movies where they don't actually see with the person. They're just trying to they're just trying to get a reaction out of somebody.
Yeah, you're insulting them to make them turn. Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
It's more of a cowboy thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very American thing.
Wow.
Hello, all our American listeners. Goodbye, all of our American listeners.
Way to paint all of our American audience in a very negative color. Yeah. Anyway, moving on from that. Joey frowned. This didn't make a lot of sense to him. He needed time to think about this. Then in quotations, Joey responds by saying, "I need time to think about this." So he's kind of doubling down on mentioning that he needs to think about it. You could just remove the first thought of it and just do him actually saying it to Gary.
I'm gonna fight you on this.
Okay.
Where's my notes on this? Exactly that. Joey frowned. It didn't make a lot of sense to him. He needed some time to think about this. And then in dialogue, I need some time to think about this. In another story, I would frown about this repetition alongside you, Dave, or alongside you, Gamer, but not here. Not with Joey. It seems so perfect for Joey to do.
Fuck. All right, I'm done. Right.
Like that's
He's
like
an
I
idiot.
I get where you're coming from. I honestly do get where you're coming from. I was like, yeah, like in any other story, I would not give this a pass. But it's Joey
Yeah.
and his personality, and it works so well for his personality.
Yeah. Fine.
All right, there, Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna quickly like highlight that on my notes so I don't go over it again.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I get what you're saying because
Mhm.
we would not give it a pass in another story. However, we've been with Joey for 4 stories now.
We know he's an idiot.
Yeah, we know. Yeah. The stories have given us his insight, this very insightful glimpse into his mindscape and his personality and his like insecurities about himself. So I feel like while it is kind of repetitive from a grammar point of view, I feel like it should remain as is.
Yes. Yeah. Those are the only 3 I have.
Okay. All right, then on to actual thoughts. I love how like I love how I actually won that counter by like with like the simplest is like it's Joey. I was like,
Yeah,
shit.
we were just on like top of a hill with a sunset behind us. I'm drawing my sword. I'm like, okay, we're gonna battle to the death on this. You're like, he's Joey. I'm like, okay, just put the sword pack away and walk down the hill. You're right.
Yep. Basically. Yeah. All right. So on to actual thoughts. And we're gonna start with this one here. It's the best thing I've ever done. Her name is Mirrorbird because shiny and because bird. Birds are pretty. Wow. We finally get a name. We actually get a name to the plane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just love that little bit of like we're getting character. We're getting more details about the world like with each story.
Should we have gotten that way earlier? Like
Maybe,
when he
but
finished it, he'd be like, "I'll call you."
maybe. Yeah, I feel like we probably should have. However, I think this was probably a part where like they didn't have that name until like later. It's like, oh man, I should probably include that in the story at some point.
Maybe.
That might have been
Although,
the
like,
case.
if Joey wasn't like didn't talk to someone about like, okay, I just finished it. This is what its name is. Then it would just be internal thoughts of him thinking what the name would be.
Exactly. I think
This is the first person that has basically talked about the airplane with him.
Yeah, I think this is when it's actually been completed, not like during the process of being built.
Because even
Right.
all of his bros, they were all just like, "Yeah, Joey, take
Yeah,
off
woo!
with it, whatever."
Yeah, it's probably gonna blow up anyway, like all of our other
Yeah.
stuff.
I'm ready for an explosion. Are you guys? Hell yeah!
Can I get a hell yeah, hell yeah?
Accurate.
Yeah. So yeah, he might not even come up with it while he was in Vulture Gulch, like while he was in the air and stuff like that, like while he was thinking for that 11 hours.
That's possible. Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on to my next note here. Okay, all right, Joey. So you flew here. Where did you come from? I came from home. I flew northwest for almost 11 hours. So the forest, it seems, then like this is like my inner monologue. Like as I get to this point in the story, it's like so.
Yes.
This is likely in the Pacific Northwest.
But he flew northeast.
Oh shit! You're fucked. No. Wait. Hang on. I flew northeast for 11 hours.
And I love Northwest.
Oh no! This has completely ruined like half of my notes.
Nice.
I'm keeping this all in because like so. Okay. 11 hours north. Fuck.
Dude, he straight up says where they are.
No, see, like here's the thing though. This is what ruined my notes. Okay, so we'll just go dive into that. Okay, so I fucked up. I'll own that. Because I definitely read northwest for about 11 hours, not northeast. So I thought that it was the Pacific Northwest. I even fucking say in my notes, I'm reading it right now. I say, so the forests of the Pacific Northeast, which don't exist. Like Pacific Northeast is not a term.
Uh-huh.
But I digress. My typo aside, I fucked up. I thought it was because like later in the story we get this. Gary rolled his eyes exasperatedly. Well, we're in the middle of the woods in fucking Ontario. Wait, what? So I don't think we're gonna have an airport anytime soon. we'll have to ditch it. Wait. So, and my notes were, wait, hold up, what? Or rather, where? And then I go on and I don't think it's the province of Ontario because I fucked up again, owning it. We make mistakes here at El Dente Rigor Mortis. I make mistakes here at El Dente Rigor Mortis.
We all do, except for Mikey. He's infallible. But we all do.
Yeah. So, yeah, I thought it was the Northwest Territory. So I went into this whole thing, Google mapping and researching to see if there was an Ontario in the Pacific Northwest. And I found that there is a city in Southern California called Ontario, and there is also an Ontario State Recreational Site, which is basically it seems like a state forest in Oregon, which is heavily wooded, which is what I was imagining where this was the entire fucking time.
Yeah.
But apparently, Joey left Arizona and traveled up to across the border to Canada, to our home province of Ontario.
Hooray!
That is fucking awesome because we also now know where that fucking other site is that that SCP that the half creature existed in.
True.
So fuck. So does that mean that they're in Algonquin Park? Did he travel all the way out to Algonquin? Because that's that's got to be either Algonquin Park or somewhere up in northern Ontario, across the Great Lakes.
Yep.
So that's fucking awesome. Now that my fuck up, my bad. But now that makes the story even more awesome because this shit's taking place in our home turf.
Yeah. Now it's a Canadian story.
Yeah, now we got a Canadian story, and that means it does make sense. I was like, well, how the hell did the SCP Foundation track them down? Wait, no, the SCP Foundation is not the U.S. government. They are they are a global shadow government.
Yes.
Or shadow organization that they can go across. It's
no borders.
They're Doctors Without Borders.
There you go.
They're SCP or they're Agents Without Borders.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Okay, so that's pretty fucking cool then. All right. That's one part of my notes just kind of shorn. No, that's part of my notes just cleaved off.
There you go.
So, all right. I'm just going to move on to my next note then. Hopefully I don't fuck up again. I'm sure I will.
No promises from any of us here.
Yeah. All right. So, and this actually just kind of tie into again, location. So the confused guy furrowed his brow and frowned, looking down and putting his hands on his hips. Phew, or flew, fucking math. Okay, normal plane speed is probably and southwest. So what? New Mexico, Arizona? I don't know what those. I don't know what those are. The guy sighed. Is it hot where you're from? Lots of sand, no grass. Joey nodded. Yes, and no trees. Probably because there isn't a lot of wood to make them out of. The guy nodded also. Right. Okay. What the fuck is in? Oh God. His eyes, filmy and yellow, widened in their sunken sockets. Joey, does your home have a wall around it? A tall white one with guys outside it that told you and your friends to stay inside? Joey nodded again. Yep. How did you know that? It's complicated. Shit. Goddamn bastard banana balls on and fuck. So for me, as I was reading it in the first time around, the amount of excitement that was building in me while I read it was palpable. Just as to the implications of what of this exchange and what was going and what we were getting from information about that this other zombie dude knows about the SCP Foundation and what's worried he knows that that fugitive that he's a fugitive and that Joey is also a fugitive and that they're probably on Joey's ass.
Yeah.
I just loved that exchange of dialogue between them and just getting having Gary realize what's going on. And then we get Gary's name in the story. It's okay, my name's Gary. We can be friends. And I looked into the link that Gary is so the word Gary is a link to an SCP entry, SCP-3884. And it's a short one, but there's also a story tied to it. And we find out that Gary is actually short for Gunmetal Gary, as he likes to be called. And holy shit, between Hall and Hank, the Night Hauler, Joey Fucknuts, and the Black Iron Boneheads of Vulture Gulch, and now Gunmetal Gary, it's just some good old boys, never meant him no harm, except against the mother and other evils. CadaverCommander is building this Americana mythos.
I thought you were gonna say he's building freaking SCP Avengers team.
Also that, yes. like the entities that we have come across with the CadaverCommander stories and entries are all like these weird aspects of the American dream, or American nightmare rather, like personified. Like you got like Hull and Hank is just like that good old boy just wanting to like leisurely fish and whatnot. Nighthauler, who's all about the road and freedom. Joey Fucknuts, again, kind of just, and his kin in Vulture Gulch are just like badass explosions and metal and shit. And then Gunmetal Gary, who literally can just pop out guns out of his ass and hand them to people. Like, you know, he can just manifest guns.
Oh, okay.
In the
That's
SCP
where his gun went.
Yeah. He's basically a video game character. He just like pops it into an inventory slot that he doesn't, and like he's aware that he's both aware of his powers, but he has no fucking clue how he does it. He just does it.
Okay.
And he's basically
the hammer space.
Yeah, exactly. Except it's gun space or weapon space.
Yeah.
And in the entry that we learned, like from SCP-3884, he basically goes around in his truck giving guns out at like at farmers markets and such to anybody. He's trying to arm the masses to fight the mother and her evils. Basically the mother is insinuated to be the creature down in the trench, and also tied to that floating corpse pile thing. So yeah, like we kind of get this like weird sort of amalgam, this kind of like group of like these creatures that are manifestations of like not American ideals, but American like tropes, I guess, like freedom and the highway riders and like gun nuts and what have you. And like Gunmetal, yeah. So like, and like I said, Gunmetal Gary and his own SCP are like, I'm adding that to our list of SCPs. We're gonna talk about that at a later date. I think I may have pegged these guys all wrong from the get-go. They aren't monsters too stupid to be villains. They're just the monsters that want to fight badder monsters. Like the SCP Foundation is doing it all wrong. They gotta employ these badasses. Send them out on missions to fight the monster, like the truly bad monsters, and then just cover up their messes.
Yeah.
Like, we just need the SCP like this. We need if there is a canon out there that CadaverCommander or somebody has made about these kind of characters like fighting the mythos or fighting the SCP entries that are worse than they are. Or if that doesn't exist, we need an SCP Avengers. Also, basically like Hellboy or the BRPD, Bureau of Paranormal Research Vents, based on what we've been coming across. Because again, like none of these guys have really doing anything. Like they're kind of, by existing, they're like warping people's minds and like perspectives and shit on the mundane world, and they are kind of hampering the mundane. But they aren't villainous in their actions. They are trying to help.
Yeah, but whether or not they would actually go out and want to fight other creatures or not, like I don't think Joey actually wants to fight. No,
but I mean, if you could get if you could if the SCP Foundation could like persuade him, as like, well, Joey, if you don't help us here, like you're not gonna be able to make a whole lot of other friends because all the other friends are gonna be dead. It's like, oh, well, I don't want that. All right, so I'll go out and I'll go out there and try and talk to them first, and if that doesn't work, I'll punch them in the face with the might of my blood in the fire. Like that kind of thing, right? And then you just got like Gunmetal Gary, who just like, here, take an RPG, the gun, not the board game.
Oh, he has one of those as well, though.
Yes. But yeah, it's just like, yeah, SCP Foundation, you're doing it wrong. You're like trying to lock up
strong stance.
Yeah, you're trying to lock up these characters who are clearly just trying to help against the worst threats. So like,
they were put here to defend us against the bad ones.
Exactly. It's like maybe I've got a mimetic virus in me, and I'm just like, I'm not supposed to feel like this, but like I'm totes on the side of Joey Fucknuts and this gaggle of badass dudes that just want to chill and help people
and blow up stuff.
Yeah, and blow up shit. I'm down with that.
They're blowing up their own shit, so it's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, that was just like my big takeaway from like Gary and finding out more about Gary and just realizing like all the characters we've come across in these last few SCP entries and stories that we've been reading from CadaverCommander. They're just like, yeah, they're just badass like dudes that are just trying to fight baddies or trying to help people like be awesome. So just let them live their lives. Damn it, you Foundation. But moving right along. I'm just gonna read this part here. This is what Joey telling Gary about what has what has transpired previously. Well, the sun was getting dark when I landed, and then I looked at the trees for a while, and then the giant invisible monster showed up. It tried to eat me, so I had to fight it. It hurt me real bad, and I think I almost died, but then I exploded, and then I punched it in the face so hard that it exploded, and then I fell asleep. Gary was silent for a short moment, and then was not very silent at all. Wow, that was the best rundown of the previous story. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, really, that's better than we could have ever done.
Yeah. Thank you, Joey, for that succinct rundown of the previous story. And then, we got to the part where part of my notes were about Ontario. And then the next one here. So this is when they're about the fuel issue with the airplane.
Yes.
In a corner of the hold toward the nose of the plane was a clumsily welded metal chair, which Joey sat in. He reached to one side and pulled up what looked like a high-pressure hose, one end of which was attached to a connection in the floor. The other end, in Joey's hand, did not look like that of a normal hose. Instead of threads in a fastener, it had a gleaming metal needle, not unlike a syringe. Gary looked at this with a blank face. Joey, what the fuck is this? Joey didn't say anything. He simply rolled up the sleeve of his badly scorched leather jacket and jabbed the needle directly into his arm. There was the sound of pressure being released. The hose stiffened slightly, and fluid could be heard splashing into a tank somewhere below their feet. A slight smell of petroleum entered the air. Joey said, "Gas. Shouldn't take long. Where are we going?" Gary had a few thoughts in this moment. Yeah, and so did I, because when I first read this part, I got to the metal chair and Joey was sitting in it, and then a hose was coming out. I was like, I did not think this was. I did not think the syringe was and being jabbed into somebody's arm was where this was going.
Yeah, right.
I thought it was are you telling me that their pee is fucking petrol? Which, to be fair, based on their diet, I could understand. They eat oil soup.
And based on his burning blood of rage and shit, that's just his gasoline blood setting on fire.
Well, yeah, and that's what they literally have petro in their veins. That actually makes a lot of sense based on previous things that have transpired in all the other stories.
Wait, it is petrol, by the way.
Yeah, petrol. Yeah, I keep saying petro. Yeah, it's petrol. Yeah.
Well, Petrocan is a place where you would get petrol.
Yeah.
You're half right, but it's fine.
It's but yeah, just wow. They've got gas in their veins. You know what?
Mhm.
That makes total sense for this species of people. this type of people. Also, I love the repeating blank or the repeatedly blinking eye, stunned silence, ellipses moment that Gary has at the very end, because it's the same reaction as I had.
Yeah.
Just reading this, oh, okay.
He's just starting to just accept it. It's all right, fine, I guess.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. He's just because it's nice to know that there's two different types of zombies in this world.
Mhm.
or that there's the one that can spawn random guns from out of the ether, and then there's ones that are just made of they are made for cars and explosions.
In the earlier episodes, did it say that the Foundation would give them vehicles and shit, but they would never ask for gas?
Yeah, because they were always wondering where they were getting fuel and cigars from. The Foundation,
right? Yeah, it does say that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess, are they bleeding themselves to get their fuel?
Yeah, man.
Okay, so
That's
where
brutal as hell.
Oh no! I think I know where the now I know. Okay, so if that's if the blood is their gas, how they're getting gas, are their turds really just cigars?
Yep. That's what I got in my notes. What are they
Really?
getting the
Oh, you
cigars
actually had
from?
that in your notes?
Yep.
Okay. I mean, I'm just thinking because they're dropping logs, and yeah, technically a log of poop is basically the same size and thickness as a fucking as some cigars can be.
Okay. Do they eat though?
What?
Do they eat?
They eat
In
car
general?
parts. They eat
They
car
do.
parts and
oil
oil
soup and stuff like that. Yeah.
and oil soup, Which means, are they just drinking their own blood?
Oil isn't.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, oil and gas is right. You can mix those together and make. Wait, so they get oil somehow, and they're using gas because you can't I know for at least for small motors like my boat motor for when I go to my cottage, we have to mix the unleaded gas with oil so that
it's
it
mostly
runs.
in small engines.
Yeah, so it's mostly in small engine stuff. So there's just so many questions. again, the ellipses moment. Okay.
Their pee.
God, yeah. Because if they're drinking the oil soup, their bodies are apparently just processing it into another oil type or something, or maybe just processing
because
oil.
when they were in town figuring out what to eat, they were looking at the menu of different types of soups, and this one, pea soup, PEA. I guess that's how you spell pea. So you take our pea and put it into soup? Okay.
That logic makes so much sense.
Flawless logic.
Again, earlier, where you're just I don't like this repetition. It's but it's Joey. It's fuck, you're right. And it's just fuck, you're right.
Yeah,
that's totally something would happen. God, I really want to I want a story that has an encounter, has them one of those early bands of Black Iron boneheads attacking a town and just having it basically it be kind of a zombie apocalypse story or a Return of the Living Dead story where the zombies are attacking a town, but the people that are in the town are looking are observing the zombies when they're because they're trying to figure out how to kill them or get rid of them, and they just see them interacting with things. It's hey, what's they're at it in one of the diners at the town and just looking through a menu and just being confused. Oh God, wow. Yeah. Okay, moving on to my next note. And this is another little dialogue interaction between Gary and Joey here. So this is Gary talking. Ha! Ha ha ha! Oh, all right. You want to talk to them? You don't get it, do you, Joey? Do you? Do you get it? Do you get any of it, Joey? Riddle me this, Kasparov. Do you even know where you came from? Do you even know how old you are? Do you know what you are? Do you have any fucking clue what the situation is out here? How fucking dangerous it is? And do you know that you're being fucking taken advantage of by a piece of shit that's only pretending to care about you? Do you get it, Joey? Do you understand? Gary's eyes were wide, and he had come very close. Joey met his gaze confidently, utterly secure in his answer. He had never been more sure of anything in his life. Nope. And I just as soon as I got to that point, I chuckled I'm doing right now. I just I love this contrast so much. This kind of rising seriousness and doubt and direness that Gary is adding to the conversation. I can hear the creeping violin string rising to a crescendo as he talks about and keeps asking these poignant questions to Joey. And gets more and more do you get it, Joey? Do you get what you are? And then it just it just abruptly mutes as Joey replies, as only Joey can, just so beautifully and honestly. I love it. And also from this dialogue that we get, this little exchange, we also there's part of it the piece of shit that's only pretending to care about Joey. I feel like this is either a very dark truth being spilled about the boss, or perhaps Gary revealing his own true intentions to Joey in this dialogue.
Why? I assumed he was talking about the SCP Foundation.
There is also that is also a third answer. I might just be thinking a little too hard into this, or reading too deep into this. But yeah, I was just is he referencing because Gary seems to know what's going on, or seems to have some idea of things that are going on in the rest of the world. So
he at least knows about the SCP Foundation because that's been his focus the whole time. True.
Yeah. So maybe he's talking about the SCP Foundation. I was also wondering if from a writing point of view, is this Joey? Or not Joey. Is this Gary letting slip his true intentions for Joey? Just basically being his friend just so he can take advantage of him later, kind of thing. Is Gary going to be a villain, sort of in a later story to Joey?
Why would he try to explain to Joey that he's trying to take advantage of him if he's trying to take advantage of him?
Because he's so frustrated that he's letting things slip, like he's being sloppy with his secrets. That
I mean, I'd expect that from Joey, but not from him.
that
Then again, I
happens
don't
a
know
lot
the
in
intelligence of this guy.
Yeah. Well, no, that also that like I'm just thinking of like as a writing as a story thing that happens because like I have read that a couple of times in stories where like a character who's being friendly to a character gets so frustrated with them that they let some things slip about their true intentions.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Fair.
That's where I'm kind of coming from with it. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think I think you might be more on the correct course of that. He's just talking about the SCP Foundation and like just like trying to.
Yeah.
Again, like, and I'm kind of on Team Gary if that's the case because, like, yeah, what's the Foundation doing? Just keeping these things like under lock and key, not utilizing them. But like, and yeah, that is a form of using them. But like, again, like, just recruit these recruit these badasses, just like. And just have a team. You have so many teams out there that are like in charge of like dealing with media and cybersecurity and stuff like that. Like, it can't be that much harder to just recruit these things to fight the worst things and then just cover up those instances.
Yeah, they need a supernatural task force.
Exactly. We just need like SCP, move aside. We got the SCTF here.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I still don't know if the Black Iron Boneheads would do that because as soon as you let them out, they're just going to do what the boss says, which is go fuck up everything around you.
Well, that's the thing. Like, is the boss trying to fuck up everything, or like he's saying like go forth and kind of do something? But like, is he maybe just like go forth and show people the light, like protect people and like make yourselves known, but protect people? Like maybe that's what he's trying to do.
I don't know. We haven't gotten the actual quote.
Yeah, we've never gotten. Yeah, we that's again like we joked a couple of weeks ago about like the true mystery being why Joey's name is called Joey Fucknuts.
Yes,
but I think the real big mystery about this story and this series is who the fuck the boss is.
I still think it's Joey just when he has his goggles down.
Yeah, when he goes super Saiyan.
No, yeah, that was part of it, right?
Yeah. Like when he like went like he learned his true he gained his true purpose for a brief moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is my last actual thought, guys. I swear.
Sure.
Well, we're friends now, aren't we? I guess we'll do it your way. You say you want to talk to them, get the Foundation to see the light that they've been blinded for hundreds of years. Okay, now's your chance. They're already fucking here. And that's the last fucking sentence of the story. And I'm like, no! You can't do this to me, CadaverCommander! You, like, leaving it on a fucking cliffhanger? Like, seriously, I really hope there's another story on the way at some point. Because, like, it was getting so good!
You know,
we're in Ontario now!
I hate to say it, though. This may be the end, and that's the planned ending. As in, the Foundation's here, but there's really no more story because they just freaking flashbang them and throw them under like nets and grab them and take them back, and it's over.
That's no.
I'm with you. However, it's possible because if like, the Foundation just nopes his attempts at a negotiation, and they have the means to just immediately incapacitate both of them. And they'll just grab them, take them back, and story over.
Well, I mean, one of them, because like Gary, he tends to. So in his SCP, again, we'll go a little bit more into it when we read that entry. But if he ever gets, if there's ever an attempt to capture him, his truck blows up like gloriously, and then he just vanishes.
If he's not anywhere near his truck, like right now,
so he might just vanish. He might just bamf.
Okay.
Now here's the thing. Yeah. So Joey Makes a New Friend came out the 5th of March, 2019. So we've been without a Joey story for almost 2 years. So
hopes are low.
I mean, CadaverCommander's been pumping out some like content for like since 2020, like since the summer of 2020. So
you're saying like revisions have been made to things and stuff like that.
Yeah, and there's definitely been revisions by as late as March 2021. According to CadaverCommander's, let me say, Mobile Assault Necropolis.
The best name.
Yeah, the best name. The best name for a bibliography. So it is possible that we are going to get a and there's like lots of SCPs that get that they make between stories of Joey Fucknuts. So
Yeah, for sure.
there might be a chance that we'll see a new Joey Fucknuts story in the future that continues the saga. But I guess only time will tell. But yeah, that's my actual thoughts. I'm just gonna move this move the microphone over to Mikey.
All right. So I've already talked about the turd cigars.
We have. I never thought I would hear you say those words. We've talked about the turd cigars. All right.
I also didn't think that we'd ever talk about and love a character named Joey Fucknuts, but here we are.
Yeah.
All right. So my actual thought here that hasn't been touched on yet is about the weight of Joey.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the quote here is that he weighs almost 1,000 pounds.
That's a dense motherfucker.
He's a dense boy.
Yeah.
I mean, again, given what they eat over at Vulture Gulch, like they eat machine parts. So
yeah.
They metabolize metal. So wait, are they really just Terminators in zombie flesh? Like, are their bones made of metal?
No, he just has really high levels of what's it called? Words. Looking up words is thing that I can do.
High levels
he just
of
has
iron?
like high levels of bone lacing.
Oh,
Like body wear in Shadowrun. Because these are Shadowrun
yes,
characters,
of course.
obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I'd say
like
it's
titanium bone lacing.
Well, no, titanium is light, like a light alloy.
Yeah.
I think it's probably he got like that's delta wear. I think he's probably got alpha or beta wear.
Well, no, it's different regardless.
Okay.
It's unobtainium.
Yeah,
It's a weird metal that's super heavy and super strong because he can survive explosions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gamer, if you do not make Joey Fucknuts into an SCP or into a Shadowrun character, I will be very disappointed. I want to see those stats.
I mean, I told you I was contemplating doing that before.
I don't mean for our current game. I mean,
intro.
you should just.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you should just like we should just stat him out and just post it online.
Just do it anyways. Yeah.
Yeah.
We sure do that.
Yeah.
But sorry, Mikey, we're interrupting you.
Yeah. So for me, the revelation of his weight really makes me scratch my head into how he actually got his airplane to take off.
And like, also at the start, he was like sitting on just like a pile of tires. If he was that heavy, he'd be like squishing the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
It didn't say that he wasn't squishing the fuck out of them, but
yeah, he might. It's also is it him that that says how much he weighs?
Yes.
I'm almost like he might be exaggerating, but at the same time, it's also Joey, so he might not be exaggerating.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a plot hole? Is this what a Joey Fucknuts plot hole is?
Honestly, no, because him being 1,000 pounds and him flying in that huge plane doesn't matter because like you can put a car in a big ass plane and fly.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But he's also it's also full of cigars, flamethrower axes, and his motorcycle.
Okay. Well, here's the other question.
Huge plane, though.
Actually, here's a question because like think about that. 1,000 pounds. That's only 1,000 pounds. So. Look at airplane line. Like look at what a regular. Okay, I can't believe I'm going to look this up. What kind of bomber is it?
I'm looking it up right now.
B-17 bomber
and
occupants. Because I'm wondering even like the average person is only about is like a max or like even if we were to take like the okay, so actually like the average person is about 200. Like could be like anywhere between like 150 to 200 pounds.
So
and.
If his like plane is equivalent to an actual B-17 Flying Fortress, it can carry a payload, like all of its ammo and guns, that weighs almost 5,000 pounds, and that's just ammo and bombs and shit.
Okay.
Yeah, but again, this is a makeshift version.
Okay, but he's only 1,000, and a motorcycle is not another couple thousand.
But it's also full of cigars.
Oh yeah, because cigars weigh so much, don't they?
Yeah, Mikey, I would like to point out. This motherfucker punched this plane into existence.
Yeah.
Like it's no one expected it to fly, but here we are talking
I don't
about
think
the
it's
weight
a fly
capacity
one,
of a B-17.
If it was like a Cessna that he made, then yeah, I'd be on your side. But it's a
Yeah.
big ass plane.
Yeah.
It has 4 engines. It makes it go faster. That's what he said.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So like, it's actually not that that crazy that he weighs that much. And again, like the tires might be like tractor tires too. So like we don't know what kind of tires he's sitting on in that throne.
Yeah, true.
We just assume it's like regular car or truck tire.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right, that's the end of my actual thoughts. I haven't been touched on. So
Okay, that was actually that was a good question because like that was
Yes,
almost a plot hole.
almost.
we had that was actually a good like little think piece there. It's like, all right, well, and we all went to Google. It's like what's the low capacity of a B-17 bomber?
Yeah, need to know this now.
That's in my search history now. Anyway, so it's also probably not the worst thing in my search history, to be honest.
Knowing you, no.
So gamer, I guess you're up.
I am. So Gary says, it's complicated. Shit. Goddamn bastard banana balls and fuck. I know you said that before.
Yes.
However, I want to say it again because I basically I know what I'm adding to my vocabulary of exclamations now.
Right?
That's so random and weird. I have to say that at some point. Goddamn bastard banana balls and fuck.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yes.
Also, I did love I did so when because there's something I said earlier, but like Gary does it a couple of times in the story, where he says like, "Riddle me this, Kasparov. Do you know?" And then he says some other names to Joey, and then Joey's like, "My name's Joey."
Yeah,
like he's that dense. Like it's like again, like just like adding on to the
Joey, not Kasparov.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like that simple mind sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like not simple mind, but like just like that. Like he's who he is. He's Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Jokes.
Yeah, it's like it won't fly over his head. He would his reflexes are too fast. He would catch it.
Yeah. Drax. But moving on. So then we get to the descriptor of the voice that's talking to him, saying, "Hey, ugly, wake up," and all that. The voice was male and rough, like its owner smoked 9 packs per day and gargled a couple razor blades every morning. Joey thought there was something familiar about it. So it's red green, basically.
Hey, ugly. Remember, if they don't find you handsome, which they won't, they will at least find you handy.
Yeah, especially because he's up in Canada.
Oh my God!
Yeah. So you giving both of those characters the same voice? Incorrect. Gary should have been red green.
Absolutely correct. You are absolutely. I need to jump onto my. I need to perform Sudoku.
Yeah.
Because how dare I give this clearly Canadian? Which I mean, in his own SCP, he is not a Canadian character. Of
course.
He's found in America most of the time. But like, apparently he's in Canada for some reason. But yeah, no, he's straight up red green.
Yeah. He just pulls shit out of his ass. It works. Because it's magic of duct tape. So
that means they're in Muskoka. they're up in like northern Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
That's so awesome. I love it. They're in our home territory.
But I'm not gonna lie. When you were doing some of your quotes, reading like back and forth lines, both with the same accent, it was kind of hard to follow.
I apologize.
So some of them, it was like you went to your normal non-accent for Joey, and then you used Joey's old accent from the previous recordings as Gary now.
Yeah, I apologize. I mean, I can go back
fine.
and redo them all.
No, not at all. Yeah, they are.
Gamer's just like, please no, we don't want to keep going.
Yeah, they are both sort of like good old boys. So I see why you defaulted on that.
Yeah,
for sure. So then Gary asked Joey basically how what was he? Okay, so Joey gives a brief summary of the last entry.
Yeah,
and then Gary responds to that very brief rundown. He says, "What is this, a fucking riddle? Do you not remember how long you've been here, Nostradamus?" And then, like, my answer to that is he just told you, because the first line of what Joey said was, "It was getting dark when I landed." So he knows that he's been there at least since dusk yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, he starts off
process
very antagonistic.
Yeah.
Like he's very
I'm just surprised he attacked him so much. Meanwhile, he's like, right at the very first thing he said is, "I got here when it was getting dark." Okay, that's how long you've been here. Cool.
I think that's just like part of his personality, or like maybe like his experience of like being out in the real world is sort of like he's like the tough guy, like the kind of like yeah, he's just sort of like used to being crass and being like defensive like that all the time.
Yeah, or you expected Joey to be like, okay, I got here at 9 p.m.
Yeah,
like something specific.
Yeah, it's sort of like he's kind of like Joey's antithesis. To a degree, like he's like if like I'm for some reason I'm coming to like the comparison of like Joey is Oliver from Oliver Twist, and then Gary is the other kid who's like more street savvy and like crass. So you got like kind of the innocence of Oliver, and you got the crass and like experienced veteran of the other kid that from that story, which I cannot remember his name.
It's all good.
But yeah, it's that kind of like dynamic, like the innocent versus the street savvy.
Mm-hmm. So then, my last note is the revelation that their blood is fuel, and all that. And first of all, I forgot to mention this when you were reading over the description of that. I had to read it a few times to try to understand what was going on, like just the visual of this hose and where it was coming from, where it was going, and such.
Yeah, I thought first off, like again, while I was reading that, it was like, all right, metal seat. He's sitting on. Oh god, he's gonna be peeing into it. And then like the hose came out. I was like, where's that going? Oh, it's got a needle, and he's like jabbing it into himself. Oh, okay. And it goes down to the floor. It hooks up to the floor, down in somewhere below, which is the tank of the fuel.
Mm-hmm. As far as you went immediately to pee, because like when there was a chair there,
it's me.
There's a chair there. I thought he was just gonna sit in the chair and turn over and like hit a couple buttons on a keyboard to like open up a panel, then stand back up, and then go get the gas, No, I didn't know.
I went total potty humor.
Mm-hmm. Straight up.
Yep.
Yeah. Either way, my whole point of this note is their blood is fuel, which is like flammable and stuff like that. Yet his people are constantly setting themselves on fire and being in the middle of explosions.
Yep.
So I suppose their bodies just shield them so well that none of that heat and pressure gets to their blood.
That's my guess.
Because it's raisins?
They're also an well, here's the thing, dude. Like, this is an SCP thing. Like, SCPs are meant to be like reality breaking.
Oh, for sure. I'm arguing the logic of a zombie that is alive, even though its blood is gas for reasons.
Exactly.
And
yeah,
it can summon a freaking Falcon Punch whenever it needs.
You know, I just realized. You know what they are like for the most. Like, you know what they really are? They're just cartoon characters that have been like pulled out of their own cartoon world and into reality. Like, Who Framed Roger Rabbit is an SCP.
Toontown.
Toontown is an SCP.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it now. Toontown is totally an exclusion zone of an SCP anomaly.
Pretty much. Like, because their whole town is like contained and everything, they are basically a Mad Maxian, like, quote unquote real life version of Toontown. Because of like they could just get in explosions and walk it away. It doesn't matter. Because they have toon durability and all that. It's horror. They're not bunny rabbits and such.
I mean, there is also definitely some horror to Who Framed Roger Rabbit with the cartoons interacting with the real world.
Yeah, but it's still like
weasels. Sorry.
Yeah, but they're still clearly cartoon characters.
Yeah.
One's a PG version, one's a rated R version.
Yeah. Although again, like watching the was it Judge Doom at the end of that game? It's like, when I killed your brother, I sounded just like this, and I literally just got goosebumps just doing that.
Yeah,
because that show that definitely traumatized me as a child.
Yeah, that's the PTSD kicking in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever saw that movie as a kid, so it doesn't really trigger me that way.
Yeah, fair.
Even in the comments, if you got triggered just by Cultist saying that line, I'm curious. Yeah, that's all I got for my notes.
All right. So I guess we'll move on to final thoughts. I want the next story. That's my final thought.
Mikey?
Yeah, you're Mikey.
Oh, for reals?
Otherwise I recommend. Otherwise, I recommend the story. I as is the usual for Joey stories. I love it.
Okay, then I have a question.
Yes.
Because before I read this, you told me I both love and hate this story.
Yeah, because I love this story, but I hate how it ends because it's a cliffhanger.
Oh, okay.
And I know that we don't have another story to come up with to continue the Joey Fucknut saga.
Okay, this entire recording, I'm like, okay, where's the hate? Is it going to be like he was going to get really hung up on the whole fact that you're supposed to be in the Pacific Northwest and that killed the story for him?
No. You know,
Okay.
Oh, no, I was saying that as in like I love the story. I hate that it ends.
You hate that it stops.
That was yeah. I hate that it stops. Yeah.
It hasn't
So
fully ended.
yeah,
Yeah.
it ends on a cliffhanger. Like
Mhm.
yeah. It's like God damn it. But yeah. Otherwise, I recommend the story. So Mikey, these days for you.
Alright. So for me, this entry is where the story jumps the shark. So
Really?
yeah, the whole blood being gasoline explanation and the assumption of turd cigars re- really sort of ruined this for me. And the fact that how did Joey survive the end of the last episode?
He just walked it
Same
off. Like
way
he like
that. Yeah.
yeah. He took he took a nap after he was exhausted.
Yeah, the same way that they can crash two semi trucks together with a giant explosion, and then they walk away and light their cigars off the ruins.
Yeah, like I mean, to me, it makes perfect sense based on all the accumulated data that we have received from previous stories and the entry.
Pretty much like
Yeah.
each story is giving us new lines of his powers, like more
Yeah.
and more information about what his powers are. So from him almost dying, like even if he's bleeding out, he can't die from bleeding out. I guess he just needs to take a nap and he'll be fine.
Yeah.
I know that's sort of like a what's the term for that? A catch-22 or something? I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's like sort
Basically,
of a
what I'm
cop-out.
saying is like, yeah, we're basically that's me saying that is sounding like he can write whatever he wants in these stories, and because of that, the story is telling you what the powers of this creature are, even if they're being created on the fly.
Yeah.
Which kind of sounds like a cheap way to do it and explain things.
And most of the time it is, especially since it's like basically making Joey to sound like a Gary Stu.
Yeah.
Like I have other powers. My power is that I have all the powers.
Yeah, nice South Park reference.
Yeah. And I mean, like again, like I think it's, actually this is a good grounding reaction that you have, Mikey, because it's like I have been very excited about this entire series and about Joey, and I think that's because like that's just really showing my bias toward these characters. Like I'm ignoring things that we would have been like putting our nose up to on other stories.
Yeah, if it was Jeff the Killer going on these adventures, you'd be
fuck
like, okay.
Yeah. No, 100%. Like, yeah, that was my reaction. Oh, fuck that. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. But I said Jeff the Killer, so now you can put him in the tags and in the title card to get more views.
No.
No, fuck that guy.
So for me, I would have been happier if the story had just ended with the last story. And even though this story introduces Gary, it wasn't enough for me to be happy. So
you would rather Joey die?
well,
then
it would have been
be friends anymore.
It would have been a finale. Like he's gone.
Oh,
It's
we lost
the
the
end.
gamer. He walked away. Yep.
Yeah, I'm
he's
gonna
gone.
hand in my badge. Badge, my gun, and my wild reflexes.
Yeah. So
Not fair though. I do get what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I'm only gonna give this a partial recommendation because if you've already read the other stories, you can read one more. But
did reading this story leave you with a more sour taste in your mouth than you did previously?
yes.
Okay, so from the sounds of it, you would, because you preferred the ending of the previous story, you would, if you were going to recommend this story to yourself, you would recommend yourself to not read this last one and just end off on the previous one. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I guess it had to happen at some point in the Joey saga.
Mhm.
We had to have one or at least one opinion on a story that was like not super positive. Quite humbling, actually. Yeah. And again, like I'm not saying this is like, well, you're wrong. Like it's completely valid. Like again, like it is getting zanier or like more weird. And again, it's following in the style of SCPs where they're just like they're really weird and fucked up and they don't have to explain shit because they're SCPs. But it is kind of becoming kind of a power creep also. But yeah, all right. In Gamer?
In a way, I'm kind of with you, Mikey. How not that I would prefer him to be dead, because if it ended like that, I would be very annoyed. Because like you go through this entire story, and he wants to go out there and meet people and learn things and bring back knowledge. He goes out, meets one thing, being the giant monster, and it just kills him. It makes it kind of seem like the entire story is for nothing.
Yeah, it's like that's the horror story. Like that's the horror of that story of the narrative is that he had all this big dream and it just got completely destroyed because like we would need. I feel like even in that case we would need a story that goes back to Vulture Gulch and it's like it's been years and Joey's never come back, sort of thing. Or like the Foundation finally like somebody decides to like go check out to see if they can like break into the Foundation like facility at the wall. And they discover that they've had the Foundation has had Joey's remains for years in their possession. They've been basically like dissecting him and stuff like that. And they just find like a husk of him. Like he didn't make it. He's been out there like at the facility being like autopsied and examined for years.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, they're trying to like figure out how to get rid. And maybe that's like again that would be the more horror angle is like they discover in that lab that they've been dissecting and dissecting the body of Joey to try and see what makes these zombies tick so that they can get rid of them.
Yeah. Or at least see why what makes Joey specifically tick because he's so weird compared to everyone else. He's the only one that wanted to leave. So if they find out what caused that, they can maybe quote unquote program the rest to not ever want to leave.
Yeah. And I mean, you could also actually have because there was a bonehead that Joey wasn't quite friends with. Like he was like he mentions him like I think in the first Joey story. There was like a character that there was a bonehead that didn't quite like Joey or like didn't really agree with Joey, and you could have that be the new character that like go and that discovers discovers all this like terrible truths over in the SCP Foundation's like little like off-site area.
Mm-hmm.
Just because like he didn't agree with Joey, but like he's also different from the others because he's like standoffish to Joey is like he's an anomaly because he doesn't agree with Joey, right?
Yeah, because everyone else loves him.
Exactly. So yeah, I could see that kind of thing being like that would be an interesting new like narrative to the story if Joey died at that died in that previous story. And then we're now going to move to like he doesn't recover. We're now going to cut to this new story, this new character in Vulture Gulch a few years later. And it's like Vulture Gulch has actually gone downhill a little bit because like people are still waiting for Joey and like it's like kind of gotten quieter or it's gotten like more somber in Vulture Gulch without him. Mm-hmm. Like turn it into like actually start going into like pulling more into like the horror angle, like the kind of the more serious horror angle.
But the thing is though, if you lean too hard on that, you're gonna take away what made Vulture Gulch fun in the first place.
True.
Because then everyone would just be like sad and depressed and like they'd still be like making explosions, but their heart wouldn't beat it anymore. And then it would just like kind of feel dead.
Okay, so maybe keep that mentality still alive in Vulture Gulch, but again like focus on this character that didn't like Joey and like doesn't agree with all the things that some of the characters have been doing. So you have that new character, kind of like the one that's willing to like break containment a different way than Joey did. Like maybe like he dug a tunnel or something under the wall.
Yeah.
And got into and then that's where you get the discovery of Joey's body and like their plans to basically get rid of Vulture Gulch, and then he has to go back to Vulture Gulch and rally the citizens to like just break out of containment like all at once.
It gave Awesome a job to just punch this ground for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Then every couple of days he'd be like, okay, turn that way a little bit. All right, cool, keep going.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that you actually did touch on something. Yeah, like we did just touch on an interesting take that could have happened for the story if we did end with the previous one where Joey died at the end. Joey dies at the end.
That entire thing could still be going on.
Oh yeah.
Even if Joey's alive and out there and doing shit in the real world, there's shit happening back in Vulture's Gulch. It's entirely there has to be someone that's mayor now, right?
Yeah, unless they're just mayorless and they're just still going on and on.
I'm assuming someone would want to take up the quote unquote throne. Actually, he did have an actual throne, so I don't even need to quote that.
He did have a tire throne.
Yeah.
No, you're right. And maybe it is that what is that guy's name? Because I know he's mentioned he was named in the series.
Like straight up named?
Yeah, I think it was in Joey builds a flying machine.
I usually write down character names in all of my notes. In the very first one?
I'm pretty sure it's the first one because it's where he's talking about his friends and how everybody likes him except for this one guy.
I only wrote down Chef Osman Flower for the first one. That doesn't mean there isn't more, but that's all I wrote down.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I have a better idea. So, future me, boop. The character being mentioned is named Polly, and he's from Joey Fucknuts Takes to the Sky. Specifically, the quote, "Some, like Polly, who was kind of a jerk, thought Joey was wasting his time." Boop. Thank you for the name. That name.
Oh yeah, him. I remember him.
Yeah.
Totally.
That guy.
That name.
He's that guy. But yes.
Regardless, back to my final thoughts.
Yes, back to the final
tangent.
Yeah.
So I am curious how it's going to go from here, or if it's going to go from here. As I did bring up earlier, it could just end here, and basically the addendum is the SCP Foundation captured both of them, or maybe just Joey, and recovered all the assets and brought them back. And that's why there isn't another story, just because they were so efficient. They're not agents from Derplin. They did their job correctly.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought you were about to like insult those guys who were at the site when it broke when Joey broke containers. Like they were not from Derplin. That was a very reasonable situation.
Yeah, 100%. I'm with you there. But I do wonder how it is going to go, if there is going to be another story.
I kind of like the idea of them just being on the run, he tries to talk to the Foundation. He maybe persuades the initial agents, but then like another team comes in like right afterward and starts like gunning at them, like both gunning them, trying to gun them down, but also like so they have to get like we got like this harrowed airplane chase as they take off.
Yeah.
I kind of like that idea of just like Joey and Gary just going on a chase adventure. I'd be down with that if that's the case.
I don't know if there's enough words, if there's enough story left for the Foundation to show up, have a short conversation, and then just tase them and take them home.
Yeah, no, that I don't think that's like how it should go. Like I think they can't be caught. Like or if they're caught, if they are caught, that's like the first part of the story. But then the rest of it is like basically them in containment, like on their way back to the site, and then like they break out or they attempt to break out. Maybe they even or maybe like they're in a cell or something like that on a truck, and he manages to like start talking to the drivers and like manages to actually persuade the drivers to let them go because he's that he's that awesome.
Or they get taken all the way back, but they're not just dropped off back in town. They're taken to like cells for debriefing or interrogating or whatever, or scientific experiments and shit on them, and then they have to break out from that. And then in doing so, they're realizing how bad the Foundation is, or Joey is rather. So then he would have to break into Vulture Gulch to break out his friends.
Free his people. And you know what this is turning into? This is turning into Planet of the Apes, like the newer movies, like the remake the remake series, where
I've not seen it.
Yeah, where Caesar, not Caesar, is it Caesar? Yeah, where the monkey character like ends up like breaking in, like realizes that like people are like the apes are being taken advantage of, so he breaks into the labs, breaks his people free, and then they attempt to escape out. It's basically turning into Planet of the Zombies.
Nice.
And again, I'm kind of here for that. I'd love to read that story of like wherever it goes. I'm very curious to see where CadaverCommander, if you ever listen to this, we hope that you do make a new story. We hope that we hope that's in the works, maybe. Because this, I loved the Joey stories. I want them to keep going. They're fun. So,
but overall, this story itself compared to the other ones, I know my friggin' final thoughts are really long-winded here because I keep bringing up shit. But regardless, this story itself feels a little. There's a lot less that goes on, and that's shown through your rundown cultist, how quick and succinct it was, because basically they just chatted for a while, and then the SCP showed up. It felt like it shouldn't have ended there.
Yeah, it felt like
it is a good cliffhanger. It is a good cliffhanger, but I kind of expected Joey to be like, "Okay, I'll go talk to him," and he walks inside, and then they talk to him, and then there's some sort of kerfuffle, and then it ends.
Yeah, like maybe like that where you'd end it like with a cliffhanger where like they get tased and they get and they get captured there like after the talk, or
like escape. The tase / flashbang, whatever goes off, it doesn't tell you the effects, and then the next story could either be them in containment being brought back, or them just standing there and be like, "Okay, what was that for? That hurt my eyes a little bit."
Yeah. Ow. Fuck. You guys have sun. You guys have sun bombs. Damn it. Little
That's
baby
exactly what he would call
You've got
them.
baby sons. Damn it.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it would exactly be that in Joey form. So yeah, like so for final thoughts, like it seems like I love how we had like mine was very succinct. It's like I loved it, but I hated the ending. Like I wish there was more. Mikey had partial recommendation because this was kind of the lesser, like a lesser story compared to the previous one.
At least as an ending.
As an ending for the series. Yeah, for the series. And again, like the stories do like I'm hoping hope against hope that there is going to be another story based on this ending. And then with yours, like we had a fairly long-winded conversation about
on multiple different topics.
Apparently
I
we had
should have
more to
probably
say.
just put in notes, but it's fine.
Yeah, no, it's fine. We had more to say. That's fine. But yeah, I think overall I think it's mostly a recommendation, but like this is not as good as the other ones, but it's still a fun like read. But there is but like it's not like it wasn't fun because it ended like so abruptly.
Yeah.
That what I'm getting at? Yeah.
Pretty much.
Okay.
The series as a whole, I just enjoyed it pretty much through and through.
Yeah, and I think that's why this story kind of like has a bit of more of a kind of a downer to it a little bit, is because it ends so abruptly compared to what we've been reading. Like we've been reading so much about Joey, we've been enjoying his journey, and then it just ends, like just stops. Like before he even gets to go talk to the outside guys. So yeah, we hope they continue. We'll look out. We'll keep steadfast looking out at that horizon for another Joey Fucknut story for the future. And we hope you enjoyed our discussion and our ramblings of this series and this story. So
we do equal amounts of discussion and ramblings.
Yes,
that is on the contract that I had to sign.
Yes. Yep.
I need to make sure to take over from Mikey saying a thing. Both of us have that in our contracts.
Yep.
And we
I
need
have to
make
apologize
sure.
a lot of
I
the
have
time.
specific rambling subsections of my contract.
Yep. Anyway, if you like the show, if you've not like tuned out at this point, first off, God bless you. Cthulhu bless you, gods bless you, all that kind of stuff. We hope you enjoyed. If you like what you heard, if you didn't, leave us a comment in the comment section below where this gets posted, whether it be on Podbean, Facebook, YouTube, Tumblr. We're all on Twitter, so you can send us messages there. Mikey's at the E stands for evil. The Gamer in Yellow is at the Gamer in Yellow, but without that W because his name is very long. And I'm at Review Cultist. You can also send us emails at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. Where you can also leave us suggestions for other creepypastas you'd like us to discuss on the show, or SCPs, or SCP stories, cryptids, spooky things on the internet. Let us know, and we'll take a look at them, read them, and discuss them, as we have always done. We're doing good work here. And if you'd like to help support the show financially, you can go to Patreon, look for Al Dente Rigor Mortis, and select the backer tier you'd like to support us at. We have $2 and $5 tier with special episodes, early access, extra content. To our patrons that are helping support the show, thank you guys immensely. You're helping keep those hosting bills at bay, and as always, we very much appreciate it. And to our listeners and the writers of these stories, CadaverCommander, once again, saluting you. To our listeners, if you weren't listening to us, it would be like screaming into the void. Every time we get a comment, it's super awesome to hear from you. So comment more on, or leave us some reviews on iTunes or wherever reviews for podcasts are.
Let us know how good / bad we're doing.
Exactly. Yeah. Transparency. And yeah, until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
And I'm the Gamer in Yellow.
This has been Al Dente Rigor Mortis. Sleep well.